Today we're gathered here to announce, the sad passing of little Frank Young, who was found on Saturday. Today we collect our prayers and our thoughts to the family. That God will give them strength to get through this sad situation. I know, as I said over the weekend, everyone wanted to have good expectation of the return of little Frank. I guess it was not to be so. Today, we'd like to take this time and the opportunity to thank all the people, not only in Saskatchewan but across Canada, that shared their prayers and their thoughts to the family and also to the finding of little Frank. We'd like to thank all the people that have came and helped with the search throughout the duration of the search. We also appreciate, the local RCMP for helping out, in the search for Frank, and all the, the equipment, the planes, the helicopters that came down to do the search. What we have today is also, our national chief, Roseanne, mentioning, that all of the chiefs across Canada and councillors in each community have shared their thoughts and their prayers to the family and their whole communities. We like to extend our appreciation to every one of those First Nations communities across Canada. We understand, that the individuals that were right to the end had some time yesterday to go to the site where Frank was found and be able to collect their thoughts, to, as a process, as a matter of protocol, to visit that site. We do, however, in the past couple of days, trying to accomplish the protocols that we have in our communities, and that is to tend to the needs of our family that are immediately affected by the loss of and the missing of little Frank. First thing was, to be with the family when the little body was returned back home, sadly. And then from there, the following day, we went and visited the site where little Frank was found. And as our elders have taught us, what to do in situations like that, we made sure that we followed the instructions and the advice that we received from our elders and do the prayers for little Frank. Today, as a chief from my home community, Red Earth Cree Nation, like other members of Red Earth Cree Nation, we hold every member so dear in our hearts, and that they're all important to us. And just like as Frank, it was important to the community, not only to Shoal Lake, but as well as to Red Earth. Today, words cannot express, the deep sadness that we have in both communities. And I know we had expectations, to have Frank return home safely. But as we always referred to our God, he had other plans for little Frank. Today, we like to extend our appreciation, especially to our fire crew, fire suppression crew from both communities that stayed right to the end, and some of the supporters, to the family, as well as volunteer searchers that stayed right to the end of finding little Frank. Just in terms of the area where Frank was from, was found, as the river, of Kerr River, it's so dense and it's so challenging at times, especially in the springtime, during the spring runoff. The current starts to flow, quite rapidly. But we received all sorts of advice, direction, from communities that have gone through the same thing in their own communities. Like, for instance, the place where Frank was found. You can imagine, the deadfall that falls right into the river, and the overgrowth that goes right into the river. The way we can describe it is that Frank's body was found exactly, where we were given direction and description of where he might be. He was caught in a thicket of a deadfall underneath the water. The other one is the advice from the elders that have stated, just by experience alone, when somebody goes missing, the bodies tend to stay underwater for a long period of time, until such time there's a hot weather. When the weather gets hot and extremely hot, and that's exactly what happened in this case. Little Frank's little body surfaced. So we thank all of those that gave advice and direction, and also the advice from and admonition from our elders. Without that, the knowledge keepers, I guess, that we have within our communities, this is what we hold dear, is the knowledge keepers in our land, in our communities. But again, that does not go to say, that we appreciate every effort that was given and the help that was contributed by the local authorities, the RCMP, the searchers, all of those people. We can't really name each and every one of them, but you know who you are. And at this time, I like to keep my comments to that, and thank you for everyone that has come forward. Our council is here, and as well as community members that come in to support the family, with Daryl and Tanya Young, Jarvis and Barb Mackay, and as well as our elder Teresa Whitecap and her family. So I'll keep my statements there. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'd like to first of all thank God for this beautiful day that we're blessed with. I'd like to thank Tina as well for organizing the press release for the family here today. But also I'd like to acknowledge the Visayan Chief Bobby Cameron here, the Prince Albert Grand Chief Brian Hardlot here as well, and the Vice Chief and Chief Marcel Head here, and the Sergeant Richard Tong here for being here and supporting the family. It was day 81 that Frank was located. We are thankful that he was located, but not with the outcome that we had hoped for. Throughout the search, we assured the family of Frank Young that we would not give up, nor give up hope. Water was one of the biggest challenges throughout the search. Annual thawing, the seasonal thaw of the spring runoff provided a lot of challenge on land and as well on the river. You know, the annual spring runoff posed a danger to our searchers while they were on the river at one point, and we had to immediately alert them to get off the river for their safety. The water levels remain high as of today when Frank was found. Our hay lands, our trap lines, our hunting lands are all underwater. We are running out of suitable land to develop more housing due to the high water table. I'm calling on the federal government as well to reopen or file a specific claim for lands owing under Treaty 5 that we, Red Earth Cree Nation, submitted in 1996. With the water levels being that high, consistently high, it's not safe for children to go near the shore. It's not safe for our hunters or trappers to roam around and trap and fish and gather for their families. We are thankful, very thankful, for the responses that we received from Indigenous Service Canada, from the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency, from the First Nation Emergency Management, as well, and the PAGC Search and Rescue Team. We are thankful for the Lac La Ronge Indian Band as well for their search team. We're thankful for the FSIN. We're also thankful for the Kawase Search and Rescue Team that came to aid. And we are thankful for the Manitoba First Nation Search and Rescue Teams that made the trip down to Red Earth to come and help. On behalf of the Red Earth Cree Nation membership, we thank everyone that has donated their time in volunteering. We thank the organizations, the agencies for donating their equipment and resources. I also like to acknowledge the chiefs and the delegates at the Assembly of First Nations Assembly in Vancouver last week for their financial contributions or their donations. These 81 days has brought so many people together. These 81 days have brought many families together, have brought many communities together. And I'm thankful for all the resources that we have received. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone, and God bless.
Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Richard Tong. I'm the detachment commander for River RCMP. On the evening of Saturday, July 9th, Frank was located in the Carrot River, approximately 2 kilometers east from his house where he was last seen by family members. There's no indication of suspicious circumstances in Frank's death at this time. However, the investigation will continue in partnership with the Saskatchewan Coroner's Office. The autopsy is taking place today. Since April 19th, Saskatchewan RCMP and many individuals and groups have searched extensively for Frank. News agencies and citizens from all over the country have shared his photo and his description. This is not how anyone wanted this search to end. On behalf of the Saskatchewan RCMP, I offer sincere condolences to Frank and his family and loved ones, the community of Red Earth Cree Nation, and anyone else impacted by this tragedy. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to ask Grand Chief Brian Bartlett from Prince Albert Grand Council to come on.
Thank you. Thank you, Tina. Nanashkamun. Nanashkamun Mamoy Taina. I'm grateful. And I thank our Creator today. Just some thank yous, I guess, here in this press conference, but I'll start off by thanking you, media, for your continued coverage on the story. You also didn't give up, and that's important. Of course, the leadership from Red Earth, Cree Nation, Shoal Lake Cree Nation, all the council members, and your staff for showing that leadership in this 81 days, just about 3 months. To the RCMP, the unit that come from Ottawa in the first couple of days, I thank them. All the RCMP that were involved from the province, but a special mention to Richard. Thank you, Richard, for showing that continued compassion in the search throughout. Also, a Dave Sanderson, who I think is retired now. I thank him, but all the RCMP that were involved. SARSAVE, Search and Rescue, Association volunteers. Of course, our Prince Albert Grand Council, the First Nations Emergency Management, Search and Rescue teams that were there, thank you very much. The Lloyd Minister Search and Rescue team were there. We thank them. And Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency for the fire crews, the Type 1 and also the Type 2 fire crews for the assistance in the search. Of course, FSIN, Chief Bobby Cameron, who's here with us. And it was mentioned the First Nations from all over, from Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. Thank you. Of course, we have to mention Indigenous Services Canada. Thank you to Jocelyn Andrews, RDG, and also Rob Harvey. The local MLAs, thank you for showing up, that were there. So everybody, just thank you. Not giving up. The elders kept telling us, "Sakamiyamo, do not give up." That's important. So, conclude by saying that every child matters. Every child matters. Of course, from the Prince Albert Grand Council, executive, myself as Grand Chief and Vice Chief who's here, and Vice Chief Job, the 12 chiefs that we work with, and the senators and our staff, to the family, and extend our condolences at this time. I say to our First Nations communities, our First Nations throughout our territories, let's watch over our children. Let's love our children. Again, every child matters. And that's come I thank the Creator. And thank you, everyone. Dini.
Thank you, Grand Chief. Next, I'd like to ask Chief Bobby Cameron from FSIN to say a few words.
Ja, we're going to ask Nwago Magantik. And again, we thank our knowledge keeper for their prayer this afternoon. To the family of Frank Young, his loving family, Our prayers and condolences to each and every one of you. Chief Fabian Head and your council and your community. Chief Marcel Head and your council and community. And all the partners who came across to do what they can the last 81 days. All the individuals and organizations who work from their heart and soul, who put their heart and soul into this. It was a journey of 81 days, a journey that united many of us across Canada and across this world. We've received calls and texts from organizations and leadership from New Zealand even. The power of prayer and the power of God will help the family get through these coming days and the coming weeks. The healing that's going to happen now, that is crucial for everybody. The many days and weeks spent crying. It wasn't just myself, it was other families, other fathers, other mothers who cried in their homes, who cried in their beds, hoping, as we all did, that we would find them alive. We all held up hope that we would find them alive. Every one of us did. Now the healing will begin for the communities. Chief Fabian Head mentioned 81 days. This young boy was 5 years old. I want to say something to the family. 81 days and he was 5 years old. The number 86, this is very significant. See, God didn't take him for no good reason. We don't know when God is going to take us. We don't know when it is our day to leave to the other side. We just don't know. Little Frank Young had a small journey in life. That number 86 is so significant. 81 days missing and him being 5 years old. The meaning of 86 spiritually urges you always express gratitude in everything that you receive in your life. Always express gratitude even to the little things you receive from the people who love you. You also need to share the things you receive with the less fortunate in society. Do not be a selfish human being who wants everything to himself or herself. Use your blessings to bless the lives of others, because this is what the divine realm expects from you. One more thing. 86 meaning reveals that changes are coming your way, whether you like it or not. You should be ready for such changes because they will either break you or make you. Do not be afraid of closing chapters in your life and starting new ones. The new chapters you open in life will bring you the breaks that you have been waiting for. Get rid of all the negatives in your life and focus on everything positive. Positive energies will bring you joy, happiness, and peace of mind. Focus on making your life better and making your dreams a reality. That's the significance of the number 86. On this day that both communities have this press conference. To the family, very significant. Very significant. On behalf of our organization and our executive, our vice chiefs, Ali Bear, Heather Baird, Dutch Laurent, David Pratt, we extend our condolences and prayers again to the family and to everyone that's here. Laughter is good medicine. It's healing medicine. And I'm glad I shared a laugh with the family behind us here when I acknowledge my elder, Teresa Whitecap. You know, it's all part of the healing journey, and you know, our prayers are with the family. We all love this young boy, and we're all gonna miss him. But he had a journey, and his journey's on the other side. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Chief Cameron. Okay, next I'll ask Teresa Whitecap to, I'll have
I want to start off by saying thank you to this great leader sitting beside me for giving us all the support that we needed the past 81 days. Right off the bat, when my grandson went missing, they were right there beside us. They guided us. They showed us their love. And on the 81st day, when my grandson was found, they were right there with us. I've been speaking on behalf of my family since day one. We had a walk for Frank on July 1st. I was asked to come and speak on behalf of the people behind me. And I talked about my family circle. I come from a very large family circle. And our circle was broken when Frank went missing. During that time, when Frank went missing, we had a new family member join us. And that little baby is supposed to be right behind me. I call it a blessing because this little baby came and fell in Frank's spot. And I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the baby's name.
Giovanna.
Thank you. I didn't want to pronounce it. But anyway, she too had the mother ended up in a hospital. She was 6 months pregnant. So they were rushed to Saskatoon. And I'm glad everything turned out well for them. And she's here with us. And she's the one that's filling that void for Frank. So my family circle is complete again, even though Frank is no longer with us. Frank has joined other family members that have gone before us in the heavenly kingdom where my loved ones are. I thank God that He listened to our prayers. Like the chief said, hope. Every day we use the word hope. Hope today. I hope today they find Frank. And we were hoping to see Frank join us. As you know, that did not happen. Yesterday, during the healing circle, I said, Frank's chapter is closed because he has moved on to the spirit world. And the next chapter of his life is going to start tomorrow as we prepare his final resting place. And that'll be the second chapter of his life, where we go say our final goodbye to him on Friday. Each and every one of us are very hurt, heartbroken, knowing that we will not see Frank. And I try to be very strong for my family. They rely on me a lot. And that's what I said yesterday. I've done my crying on Saturday. Now it's up to me to go back and stand strong for them. And that's my promise to them, that I am going to be there for them. Even after we go rest Frank, I'll be there for them. If you need to talk, I said, I'll be here. Through phone calls, through text message, through inbox. And if you need somebody to cry on, I'll be right here for you. That's what I promised my family yesterday. And to conclude my speech, I want you people to gather all the messages that these chiefs brought to this table, because they spoke for me. They thanked everybody, and I mean everybody across Canada, even from other countries. I had a person from Rwanda inboxing me, asking me for updates. So I want you people doing this press conference, use the words that the chiefs delivered to you and summarize my thank yous to all these people that came into our lives. And so many people to mention. They came from all walks of life to come and give us support. So on behalf of I call them my daughters, my nieces, my daughters, we thank you. We thank you so very much for all the things that you've been doing for us for the past 81 days. And thank you so much. Ekose.
Teresa. So at this time, I will
First of all, I just want to say my deepest sympathy to you and sorry to be along. I have a question for Sergeant I believe the question was, why did it take so long to find him when Frank was so close to where he went missing? We used all the technology available to us. Most of it was very high tech. Prince Albert Grand Council had side scan sonar. They had an underwater drone. There were other agencies that came in and used their sonar as well. I know that area was searched multiple times. As Chief Marcel had referred, the water is high, so there's not very defined banks to the river right now. Trees have fallen into the river, and this has occurred over years, so there's quite a bit of deadfall under the water. There's trees leaning into the water at this point. And despite our best efforts and using cutting edge technology, nature's powerful. And even in 2020, sometimes our technology cannot overcome nature. And it took as long as it did until Frank was discovered.
Any other questions?
Also condolences, of course, it's been a long journey and not exactly the outcome we were hoping for. But can you just tell me how the events went on the day that you did find Frank?
Myself, I was called by the emergency response coordinator for Red Earth. I was told that Frank was found in the river. I had told the emergency response coordinator, myself and other members of the RCMP would get out there as soon as we could. The emergency response coordinator and another community member were able to get Frank's body into their boat and bring it to shore, where the RCMP took continuity over the body. And at that time, we did a examination of the body, and we followed normal steps of contacting a coroner and working with the coroner to the point where the coroner authorized the body to be transported to hospital for autopsy.
And you did say that there's no foul play, but why is the investigation ongoing?
Although we've found the body, the investigation isn't over until we can determine exactly what happened. And part of that is working closely with the coroner. And even though an autopsy is complete, most times we have to wait for toxicology results. So at this point, I do not have an official cause of death or manner of death provided from the coroner's service yet. That will be forthcoming. But since April 19th, we've discovered no evidence that is suspicious in regards to the death of Frank. And even upon examination at the scene, there was no obvious trauma. Frank's clothing was intact, and everything we saw was consistent with Frank being in the river for a considerable period.
And Teresa, you said that there's preparation to lay Frank's body to rest.
Yes.
Could you talk about kind of what that would look like?
Yesterday, after the healing circle, I gathered up my nieces to start preparing for wake services for my grandson. And we've selected the dates for it. So on July 13th, we're going to take Frank home to Red Earth for one night wake service. And then on the 14th, we're going to travel back to Shoal Lake, take him home to Shoal Lake. And on Friday the 15th, we're going to lay him to rest at the Shoal Lake Cemetery. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you just describe what kind of child Frank was, what he liked to do? Just a bit of what you'd share in a celebration of life with Frank. What do you share a bit with us?
Yes. First of all, I'll start off with sharing a little story from Frank's teacher. There are 41 children in his class in kindergarten or nursery, and he was supposed to go into kindergarten in the fall. And Frank's teacher said that Frank is very creative. He always wanted to make things for Barb, his aunt, a caregiver. We've seen videos of him that the family took. And the one thing that stands out most is every morning, or like the classes are split into mornings and the afternoon. So whenever the kids arrived at school, there was a poster there that they had to choose. If they wanted a hug, they would touch the heart. Or if they wanted a dance, they would touch the hand, the icon, and the teacher and the children would dance before they entered the classroom. So I found that very cute. Frank was always eager to go to school. And in the home setting, his favorite was Paw Patrol. So he had some toys with Paw Patrol. He loved playing with his siblings that were staying with him. We thank Barb and Jarvis for taking that step to be caregivers of Frank. They loved Frank very much. And one of the videos also was taken when they went for a water run. And he was trying to say Jarvis. He said, Babas, Babas. He wanted something from him. And he wanted to get Jarvis's attention. And he kept saying that on the video. So if you see that video, he was trying to say Jarvis. Thank you. Oh, what's that? Sorry.
Any other questions? Okay, so we're just gonna go online and see if there's any questions. Richard, if he can come up and give a closing prayer. Are there any other final comments before we end this news conference?
Yes. You've heard this afternoon that there was a tremendous amount of donations to the search for Frank. And some of the chiefs that I've talked to and I've called and I've shared, that I asked the question, what do we do with the donations that are still coming in? I guess today would be the start, to start thinking about, after the funeral. But one of the suggestions, I guess, that the National Chief, Roseanne Archibald, had been sharing is there'll be a sort of a monument for little Frank. Just something, that we need to develop in the community of Red Earth. Just to remember, the little boy, sadly, his life ended. So that's where all the donations will be going. And as well as a, in our culture, when something tragic like this happens, we want to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So there will be a between the two communities, an awareness campaign, to make sure that parents, learn how to keep their children and leave all the distractions away, from keeping their children safe. Because like the church that you see behind me, Every Child Matters, that should resonate in the minds and the hearts of every parent, that their children do matter. And as well as, you don't have to be Indigenous, you don't have to be First Nation, but to the public too as well, we want to make sure that there's an awareness, to keep your children. We live in a day, that's things are very challenging. It doesn't take long, till we find ourselves in a very hard predicament. And that's why we need to pay close attention and keep our children, keep a close eye on our children. I don't think I have to remind everyone in the public, some of the hard, tragic events that have happened over the years. But if your child matters, please, we beg you to keep your children safe, so something like this doesn't happen again. How's it?
Yeah, I'll do a little explaining.
One more story.
Thank you, Tina, for reminding me. On Sunday, 11 boats went to the site, and they were mostly elderly people. And like Chief said there were prayers said at the site. We were given some ribbons to tie where Frank was found. We tried to use 3 colors, but we only ended up using 2 colors. We used white and we used blue, and we were going to use orange. And that orange would have represented Every Child Matters. And the blue would have represented the Paw Patrol color. And the white would have represented, the life of Frank, pure white. Frank led a sinless life, because he didn't know what sin was. So it was a very what is that word? Innocence, thank you. So that's what the white represented. And we'll allow Tina to share those pictures that the people that went with us took. So we give her approval to share with the media. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'll upload those photos to the Dropbox. I think everyone here has that link. If not, just email me or text me, and we'll get you that link.